Song of Ice and Fire, not the book, but the game. We have the cool-headed, collected Sengoku up against the fire starters of Crest Gaming Act, both coming into our final game of today's coverage of the LJL Week 3. They are both 4-1, so this will be determining up to the higher places in the standings for our tournament. So, I asked this question to both of you. Will Sengoku get pulled into the madness in this game?
I don't know if they're going to get much of a choice. Let's look at Grendel as an example here. There are two ways to deal with a man who will always face check. You either make him face check less, or you all face check at the same time and just flash walls and go for it. I mean, that last game was Grendel going, right, I'm going to flash hook, and then Nap goes, sure, I'll join you, and everyone else follows along behind them. And, like, if you just pull that against Sengoku Gaming, you're just going to start loads of fights. It's going to be wonderful.
And Lexi, I got to get your opinion on this too.
I actually have a very different point of view of the game. Because of how close some of CGA's games have looked against the Rascal Jesters and Burning Core, I think there are some cracks there that Sengoku can explode open. Sengoku have not been a team that are about making mistakes, and I think Sengoku might be able to pull a lead and not let it go.
Yeah, and speaking of these cracks, you know, the gaps in the armor, places to strike, we've talked about CGA's Nap on this Wukong. When he gets into the team fights with the lead, he does tend to blow open those team fights. His Cyclones are some of the best in the LJL. In fact, they probably are the best from what we've seen so far. But I know, Sam, you have some opinions on how Nap plays on a side lane in terms of weak side as well, but Sengoku have loved to attack that top lane. What do you make of that dynamic in this matchup?
It's going to be an interesting one in that, yes, Sengoku Gaming's play around the top side, particularly with their mid 2v2, roaming up to support Applemen's very heavy focus on aggressive pushing. That's all well and good, but if CGA do what they did the last game and split into the vertical jungling and go for the dive, but this time they don't int it, that could be problematic. We saw Sengoku Gaming maybe get a little bit punished around their bot lane, not kind of becoming a focal point a few times in the past.
And one of the things which helps that in terms of Sengoku setting up for, regardless of how their map goes, Applemen loves to go back towards this Aatrox, a pick which Nap also goes towards. Lexi, do you have any particular thoughts about the champions which should be played in the top lane? Do you think that Sengoku are happy to give an Aatrox Wukong matchup to Applemen?
Yeah, I think Sengoku are more than happy to leave that, because I think his duo partner in crime is the man that's going to be the true decider of how these lanes all end up, really. And I think top lane is almost a coin flip in a way for when you have the 1v1. I think both laners are in the 1v1 matchup can take each other on a wide variety of champions. We know they love playing this Aatrox, the Nars, the Gangplanks, all these the Cho'Gath if you're Nap, right? Or Yorick if you're Appermen. Like, they both are gentlemen who will play whatever. I think there's another man on both sides who will have more to say about it, though.
Of course, and I know this is a person which you are very fond of, Sam, in the way that he plays Blank. Let's talk about Blank, and let's talk about him versus Unica in particular. We talked about coming into the last game, Unica had a 9% damage share of his team. That is
and yourself, Nymara, and yourself. Former SKT.
Yes, and I love myself a bit of Blank as well. He's one of my favorite players in the LJL. But what do you make of this matchup in particular, Sam? And is there anything that CJ can do to perhaps allay any fears of this matchup and try and make it not about him?
I think part of what it is that Blank is got a very holistic way of pathing, in that he can path defensively very well, and him and Pyrian play around knowledge of the enemy jungler very, very well. They can invade, they know how to play defensive. When they have kind of lost track of the jungler or don't have the kind of proactive jungler for Blank, we've seen Pyrian get a little bit punished. Go back and watch the V3 game. Boogie ganked mid multiple times with the trundle. This could be a problem versus Unica. If they want to alleviate that CGA, then they basically just need to go balls to the wall, get proactivity, and make sure that Blank doesn't have time to get advantage via pathing, because there's too many fights going on. Could punish CGA, but it could also be a way for them to get into the game.
A lane which we've not touched on yet will, of course, be bot lane. It's actually one thing which I want to touch on. We'll get towards the mid lane in a later point as well, because we do have two very prolific players there. Particularly about CGA and the way they like to give over Ezreal, because they think that they've found out some solutions to it. It seems like they don't really care about that pick. I'll pass this over to either of you if you have any particular opinions on it. Yutori Miyashi is a very, very good Ezreal player. Do you think it would be a mistake to give Sengoku Ezreal, or do you trust in CGA's ability to play against it?
I think either way, it's rather irrelevant in my eyes. Yutori Miyashi, we've seen him play amazing games on Mr. 200. We've seen him play amazing games on Mr. Blue Man. He can play, honestly, almost any AD carry, and I would be very comfortable with him. So I think it more comes down to the skill of CGA being able to try and support this bot lane, because Yutori is just so good in my eyes on everything.
Yeah, Sam, do you have any particular opinions on that? Or?
I kind of agree. I think Yutori's team fighting has been pretty much impeccable. There has been moments where the 2v2 has been punished, where aggressive fights early on have gone the wrong way, and that could be problematic. And we know that CGA feel they have an answer into the Ezreal, which has been a go-to for Yutori Miyashi. Doesn't necessarily mean it will go the way of something like the Ashe that we've seen before, but maybe we'll have to see something a little different out of Yutori Miyashi.
So looking for something a little different, but Sengoku will of course be looking for stuff which is a little bit the same as we briefly went into Champions League, then hop back out, then hop back in. It's a double take, it's everything everywhere. It's me leaving you guys to cast the game. Have fun.
The zoom in, the zoom out! And you look back and it's just me and Matt Swan here to cast the last game of the day. It'll be Sengoku Gaming versus Crest Gaming Act. That means Sengoku Gaming will be reprising their spot on the blue side this time around. It'll be Apperman in the top lane, Blank in the jungle, Pyrian as ever in the mid lane, and of course Yutori Miyashi and NT as the bot lane.
Yeah, and for wax on, wax off, game on, CGA on the red side. It's going to be Nap in the top lane, Unica in the jungle, Arya in that mid lane versus Pyrian. It's going to be exciting. We've got Gango as their bot lane carry and Grendel as their support, and some bans coming in thick and fast for us here.
There has been one or two that probably deserve a little bit of a mention, namely the Kalista and the Ashe against CGA. Kalista being flexible to the mid lane raises a few eyebrows. The Ashe has been great versus the Ezreal, which is now being locked in first rotation because they know CGA's tried and true answer will not be available.
But LeBlanc is up. That is such a ballsy play, and that is Pyrian and Sengoku asking to pull the hammer. I assume an Aphelios will be picked up here. Okay, jungle, I'm assuming Aphelios is still getting picked up here. They definitely can't leave it to the last round of banning, so unless they've got higher priorities, because you know it will come through as second phase banning if they leave the Aphelios. Like, Mr. 200 is not getting through.
No, he might well be at CGA's last pick on the red side here, just because they know the AD carries will be picked for Sengoku Gaming. They don't have to worry about the Aphelios being taken away. So they go for the Thresh, and in return, Sengoku Gaming say, yeah, you picked up Graves, but we will give Blank his least sin.
Okay, so the Yuumi handshake comes through. Interesting that CJ decided not to take that away and rather decide to take the Thresh, where they could. We've seen Yuumi Aphelios be perfectly good in a lot of spots, but to be expected. So,
sure.
As we got reminded by our lovely production of Nymera over in the booth, LeBlanc and Zoe banned almost always for both of these teams. So it's probably they're both not quite used to it. They're like, wait, these champions got through? What is this game? Oh, let's just ban top lane because that's normal of the Aatrox coming through from CGA.
Yeah, and we're kind of seeing the Aphelios Thresh lane from CGA here as well, which is, normally the V3 lane, right? Archer and Reiner have demolished squads from the bot lane with that power. Add in a Graves as well, and potentially that could be pretty scary. But Ezreal Yuumi with a Lee Sin as well, it's not exactly a slouch in the bot lane either, so I think we could see something a bit explosive down there.
Yeah, we've got the Zoe and the Wukong now coming in. Aatrox does have a 100% presence in the draft for Sengoku too.
Really?
Which is played out of 7 out of the 9 games, banned twice. That is insane. Like, that's kind of crazy.
It's Apperman. He always goes towards that champion. He loves it to pieces. It will be removed. It's not there. And
they're giving Arya the counter pick. I'm sorry to cut you off, but they're giving him the counter pick of Zoe, of the Zoe and the Zoe being banned. LeBlanc's still open. They're saying to Pyrian, do it. You won't. No balls. I dare you. I double doggy dare you. I'm sorry, I had to cut you off because that's just insane in my eyes.
Well, I think something that might be worth paying attention to here as well is Apperman has seen the on and gone back to the Camille he went to earlier in the day. It is a fantastic tank shredder. We saw the volley bear earlier on from Natsume get a little bit put into the dirt. This time around, it'll be against a slightly different caliber of top laner in Nap, but Apperman had a great showing. He's looking to reprise that here as the Galio will be locked in for Pyrion. Hextech Ultimatum sets up a wonderful target for that heroic entrance.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's almost a combo built into the game itself. And now the question comes, what do you want to play, Arya? You've got a lot at your repertoire and disposal. What do you want to play? Because we've given you the ability to pick the champion you want to win this lane, and goes with that Corki. I'm really interested in this Camille that you were highlighting on for Appermen. It worked once before, and it looked good for Sengoku and crew. So, and for Appermen specifically, I just running it back, that's kind of an aggressive stance, but CJ just asked them for it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it pairs up really well with the Galio. It's a good team fight. You can definitely put a Yumi on a Camille and be pretty happy about it. Galio can come and join Lee Sin's all good there. This is going to be an interesting draft for Sengoku there, because, of course, if the Camille falls behind, she could be in a bit of bother. And the team fight from CGA is pretty otherworldly. 2 hyper-scaling carries with the Graves, with an Ornn front line. That could get rough if we hit 3 items for CGA.
So, in my eyes, how this game goes in Sengoku's mindset is they want to basically win the game after CGA's power spike has hit. I think the idea is that CGA, basically, Apperman, Yutori Mashi, Blank, Pyrion, Enti, they all great after 2 items. Obviously, Enti gets half an item, and then that's basically all he gets. But Sengoku want to get to item number 2, and they're going to try and start winning the game. Whereas CGA are like, we need a bit more time. We've got an Ornn on our team. We've got an Aphelios. We've got a Corki. We want to hit that 3 item spike when everything starts coming through. We want to get to level 13, 14. We want this game to go on a little bit longer. So I'm going to be interested in where this goes. Obviously, they do have the built-in sustainability through Ezreal and Camille just being able to play that late game, especially with a Yumi who can just go super, super strong. But definitely an interesting spot. I'm interested in who you think drafted this game slightly better.
I kind of like both drafts. They've both got pretty clear game plans, and Sengoku Gaming have once again indexed into playing around that top side pretty heavily and leaving Ezreal Yumi to be a self-sufficient lane in the bot side. CGA, though, they've got a pretty good matchup into their Galio. I throw your mind back to the Hawks versus the Jesters when Dasher eviscerated Pink's Galio. 80 CS up against the Galio. You can do really, really nasty things to Galio in lane as a Corki. So there is room with a Corki and a Graves to potentially blow someone up there if the Galio's not careful. So Pyrion is going to want to be getting out of that lane and potentially assisting a Camille up in the top side as early as possible.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a smart place to highlight for Pyrion and Apperman and Blank. Potentially there's going to be some pretty aggressive dives going on to Nap and Unica if he's nearby. Something of note is this is another unique pick for Arya. This is his 15th unique pick this season alone. That's pretty upset. Ninja's, you can tell Ninja's probably pissed about this because he was like, that was my thing. That was my thing. Record. I can't come back and defend it. And all right, fine. Okay. Fine.
Well, also worth pointing out, it's a bit of an unusual item start here for Arya, who's gone for the mana crystal first. No Carl, no Doran's Blade, nothing like that. Is looking for the early tier back. He wants to get it as early as possible, hit that Muramana transformation as soon as he possibly can, running the teleport as well. And into the Galio, when you have the free lane and don't necessarily need the laning stats, I'm not against it.
No, I actually, the more I think about it, the more, because it is against that Galio, you just kind of go, sure, whatever, I'll farm. Grendel already starting to get in some real nice plays there. That was clean.
Yeah, play level 1 does a lot of auto attack trades, and Grendel like to do that. It's great stuff.
I only caught half of you saying that was good, but that's good for me anyway. Moving over, I do think Arya is going to be using, as you said, probably an aggressive recall to teleport back into the lane pretty early on, just so they can get that tier stacking really aggressively. I imagine it will be a pretty quick back once he just has the gold for it.
Yeah, very likely he'll want that back as soon as he can. The hook does miss. There won't be a repeat of what happened to CGA versus V3. Trading on the top side, though, Apperman is shoved in really hard. We saw Blank had sort of roamed up to, or finished his level 3 clear up towards the top side, maybe looking for something, but nothing to be found.
Whoa.
Pretty big Twitter vote in favor of Sengoku Gaming, and can't really blame them with how well the side of Sengoku have been playing. AI, similar favor to Sengoku, but nowhere near the same vast discrepancy in percentages.
One was over 22%, one was 2%. I definitely think the fans are a bit more biased than the AI bot, who is almost too timid to call it. Which I think is fair. Both teams definitely have a shot at the moment of this game. It's very hard to definitively say who's going to win this game at this early point, where all we've got is CS. No objectives taken, no kills. That's it. We're just chilling.
I think we need to take our producer away from the tinfoil, because he's coming up with the most ridiculously niche points about biscuits and presence of mind giving max mana to Corki and Ezreal. So the mana Mune will give AD based on the mana and on-hit damage based on the current mana. So it's all free combat stats just because of those things. It's like, how deep is our producer going in the background here? I'm a bit worried about the lack of tinfoil that will be in my flat.
I think he forgot about it's just free real estate at the end of the day. It's just free real estate. It's just free damage. I mean, at this point, Arya definitely has enough to go back and get that tier, but he doesn't. He hasn't gone back. It's just free 20 plus damage on top of everything else with that free mana. I mean, maybe he's got an idea. Maybe he's got a bit of a tinfoil hat on. I'll let brothers dispute and argue over that one.
He's definitely thought through the maths. We're going to see a taunt in, though, and now Arya is in desperate trouble, but it's not going to matter because the resonating strike will take down the Corki. Free combat stats mean absolutely jack all when you're dead.
You had to get that at the end, didn't you? You had to add that in the end. The Corki butt of the Corgi butter was put upside down. Sadly, Corki was destroyed and Arya was the first blood giver. Not a common stat, actually one of our highest, if I remember rightly, first blood participants in the LJL. Was Arya normally getting that first blood, not normally giving it. I think actually that's one of the few that we've ever seen from him giving first blood.
There we go. It was well played. Flash package didn't matter. Galio got the taunt, got the Lee Sin in, and the damage was there. It was good play out of Sengoku Gaming. Bit of a rough start for CGA, who do normally rely, but that's a good hook. That's not so bad. There is the flay, but it is buffered out of with the arcane shift, and actually ends up being a worse trade for Grendel than perhaps he was hoping there.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting so much return damage, but NT really showing off niche mechanics on this Yuumi. The jump off, jump back on, jump off again to reset the passive. Really showing why Yuumi is still strong. Going to be interesting though come 10.13, the popularity of the champion. I will be interested once we get onto 10.13, 10.14, depending on which patch will be coming live over here on the LJL. As we're just going to have to take note of a few things. Cull coming in for Arya upon that death, as well as the tier, which is something we highlighted earlier. Gunblade there, well, not a Gunblade, it's just the
revolver, and he'll be going towards the project.
Yes, of course. Gunblade is the item that Pink went for in the Rascal Jester. So
that's the one.
Just a game late, I guess, in my head. Just a game or two late. Oh, Grendel.
Okay, there is the hook. There is going to be an attempt at the return. That's a nice roam. Pyrian now in a lot of trouble. It's a decent taunt. Blank's coming over. Goes for the shield. That's a good safeguard. But Grendel desperately trying to get the last autos. Will get that kill. But Arya may get traded back. Flash. But here comes the turret shots. It's 2 for 1. And Arya comes out with a kill at the end of it.
So Grendel got a kill. Grendel is definitely performing pretty solidly in my eyes in a lot of different spots here. Now Gango left all alone and pushed back pretty aggressively. That was kind of creep blocked by Blank. In all seriousness, I think there were lines of play where he was like, oh, get out, that's fine by me. And no, not at all allowed. 2 kills over to CGA and recovering it back to 2-2. And, well, CGA and Unica are taking this first dragon.
They are. The gold is pretty much damn even. It's 100 gold lead to Sengoku Gaming. That's all it is. Blank's going to try and maybe look for a steal going over. Can he find it? It's going to be close. The smite fight is there, and it is won by Unica, timing the end of the line return with that. Looking to see what they can get. Something at the back of it, but nothing to be found. 2 kills and a dragon over to CGA. That's good news for them, turning around the early game, which had been kind of been the realm of Blank's early pathing. Arya now got those 2 presence of mind stacks, that mana stacking up for that additional damage on the Muramana we've kind of been over the maths on before, so that's great news for the Corki. Not there at the Muramana yet, though. He's still got a little ways to get there. And until such a time, it'll be waiting and just dealing with a bit of a CS advantage in mid instead.
Yeah, it's going to be really important that Blank finds a place at some point to try and transition a lot of this gold that he's built up for himself in the early game onto some of the other champions on his team. Appaman and Nap have just been kind of playing top stalemate for the time being. Unica's looking for a pick down here. I don't think Blank was able to contest that dragon, partly due to the smoke screen that Unica threw down, which just means the smite fight just doesn't even become a fight, and Unica just has to go, well, I got him over here, I just want to get out afterwards because I see a Pyrian, and that's scary.
Speaking of seeing a particular player, it was Unica who was spotted on a ward down by the bot lane, which has given Blank free reign to invade for the blue buff. Or actually, sorry, that was his own blue buff, so it wouldn't be an invade. But go over from the blue buff over to the Herald. I assumed it must be an invade on the back of the jungler being spotted, but no. Just the handoff to the mid laner. And has got that complete warrior enchant as well. But Arya has got himself a package and a friendly Graves down here. It is 4 men coming down to try and gank the bot side. Nap also has got the teleport. Here comes the package. The dive is on. The flash in. That's the final chapter out now. Yutori still taken pretty low, but that was a missed hook. Yutori still low, waiting to get the kill. Gango is handed it and is now empty left under the tower. But the health bars are too low for the Yuumi to be challenged right now. Maybe they go back in, but it would be Gango who'd probably need to tank the tower aggro, and instead they just trade for the plate. Good dive under tower.
Really good dive. And also remembering, they must have been timing all of those TPs on the side of Sengoku, knowing that Pyrian and Appaman's teleportations were not going to be around for at least the next few more minutes still.
I'm going to cut you off, though, because Blank's coming in behind, and Gango is here all by his lonesome. He's got no flash. There's a true shot barrage. I think this Aphelios is in dire straits. Here comes Blank. He's got the warrior enchant, and he's got the kill.
That is just so well played. Again, starting to share that gold a little bit, but getting another kill for himself can't be too helped because it was the support that was on top of him of NT. But NT getting some support gold, really important. And currently 3-1. Got the shutdown gold currently on him. I'm thinking there's still a lot of chances here for the side of Sengoku, especially with that Rift Herald.
Yeah, and that was a kind of nice return play after the dive went well for CJ. They didn't get the double, but this time it means that Aphelios stuck around too long, and Gango is 1-3 all time on this. Aphelios not had a great historical record, but maybe with the teleport coming in, they can try and turn this around. Here comes the call of the Forge God. The turret does fall, so there's no way to fall back, but it's Yutori Meashi taken desperately low, gets knocked up and knocked out. Here comes Arya. The fire comes out. The Gatling gun is there. That's a big one that hits on Blank, but they cannot get enough damage out before he gets under turret. It'll be Yutori Miyashi's life traded in exchange for the first turret going the way of Sengoku Gaming.
So
CJ might not be done, though. They're invading.
They are invading. I don't think they're going to be able to get more than potentially this turret if they aggressively push. If they don't, it's fine. So the reason I actually think that went totally in the favor of Sengoku, it's unfortunate that Yutori Miyashi did happen to perish in that tussle as it was, but they were able to get the first turret down. They were able to get 5 plates on that bot side, as well as also Appaman getting more of a gold lead in that advantage in that top lane, getting a plate which basically negates the kill that Nap has as well there. Not surprising that the advantage is about half a K difference in favor of Sengoku. Obviously, first dragon did go over, but in 50 seconds we're going to see a Cloud Drake, which means initialize the Drake. The soul is going to be a big one.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited. You are completely right to call out what the soul will be. It'll be we'll see who contests for that Drake. First items are starting to come through now, especially as we do start to look towards this Cloud Drake. Teleport coming back in for Aria into the mid lane. He's got himself that Muramana we mentioned earlier, alongside that Sheen. It's the Warrior Enchant for Graves. It's the Sunfire for Ornn. It is not critically a completed item for Aphelios as yet. It is a completed Manamune for the Ezreal on the other side, alongside a Proto Belt for this Galio.
And these items coming through pretty early on in favor of Sengoku does mean that they do have some power advantage going into this Drake. Blank's hungry though.
Yeah, they're looking to try and get something under tower here. Who takes damage? Here comes the heroic entrance. There is a lot of damage. That's a very tanky Ornn, though. It's not going to be enough, and Apperman does come up with the kill. Aggro is juggled. It's traded for the dragon down bot side, but pressure in top is great news. It's a kill onto this Camille. It's going to be turret pressure as well. Sengoku came in, trade that one pretty happily.
I love this idea that Sengoku have done. They're like, that's fine. You can take the 2 Drakes that you don't care about. Regardless of the Drake that the Rift we're on Infernal, means Apperman gets to hard push this top lane in, rotate down to bot lane. Currently we're seeing Pyrian TP in. And eventually they're going to just try and stack 5 Drakes for the soul. If it's an Infernal Soul, they get 5 stacked Infernal Soul and they just get to kind of run over this game. As it's very hard to fight against a team with 5 Infernals. Four Infernals. 4 Infernals.
4 Infernals will be rough. I know the Infernal Soul kind of counts the second Drake, but the teleport is going to come in. See whether they get the taunt onto Gango, who is now in a lot of trouble. The Aphelios is going to fall, but not before dodging around a little bit. Makes them work for it, but it will be Blank who picks up that kill. Tower survives as well. I kind of thought Pyrian had teleported in a little bit pyrrhically there. But instead, it is saved by a second teleport from Apperman coming in to pick up another assist for the squad.
So Apperman got 4 turret plates in that top lane. They got 5 down in the bot lane. I believe 1 was taken in the mid lane by Pyrian and Blank in that early scuffle that when they killed Arya, meaning they've gained a lot of turret plate gold, which means this gold advantage that they got, even though they're pretty even in kills, this is just, oh my god, 10 turret plates versus 4, 5, 6, 7. Quick math is not my speciality, clearly. But having that just additional 600 gold, you could call it, just through turret plates is just so much pressure and map presence that they have over on the side of Sengoku.
It's about a 1,500 gold lead to Sengoku getting possibly mostly out of that. Look at the difference in jungle and top lane, kind of out of it.
Yeah.
Oh my day.
Yeah, I mean, the mid lane, though, obviously is heavily in favor of Arya, and a lot of the gold does seem to actually be sitting on Arya, only about 500, 600 gold in favor of Gango in the bot lane. Gango has currently only ever gone 1 and 3 on Aphelios across his career, so not brilliant stats on Mr. 200, so we'll have to wait and see how this game continues.
Yeah, a little bit more geriatric than death dealing, that's for sure, on that particular champion. We are going to see a little bit of a fight in mid lane. Arya taken a bit low as the Rift Herald is started at the CG on the top of Sengoku Gaming coming to engage, but here is the turnaround. Blank taken very, very low, and that's a shutdown onto Gango. We called him out, but that looked good. Now Pyrian and the rest of Sengoku Gaming have to retreat back to their mid lane tier 1. 1 for 1 thus far, and the Rift Herald is still up. It's not been taken. The collateral damage just throwing out some damage. Check out the backline. Arya at half HP does have the package. Maybe thinking about going across. They are just threatening this mid lane tier 1, and CJ will claim it. It's their first turret of the game, and it is a big one. Now they will rotate over to the Herald, having got what they came for.
Yeah, huge problem by Blank. And then that's probably what I've highlighted a few times. A lot of their gold is all on Blank, meaning that they have to really rely around him and just kind of put all of this in. This was such a good hook by Grendel, and I've been praising him from their last game, having an amazing game. Watch this. Halfway through, once he's in the middle of it, he just stopwatches. Goes in, immediately when people are about to go onto it, he's like, nah, stopwatch, don't care, Pyrian, you're not dealing any damage to me. Any return damage that's coming from NT and this, the final chapter, I believe, is the Ultimate of Yumi, doesn't do anything, doesn't even bind him or ground him, no damage done. Honestly, very well played from the members of CGA there, and that's how they're able to find a pick. Another pick like that in a minute will definitely mean Dragon Soul point for CGA, and that's not what Sengoku had planned.
It's not, and it's also a shutdown onto the Aphelios, who managed to buy himself a very friendly Infinity Edge that, of course, is not so far away from upgrades from this one. There's a few levels yet before that becomes a thing, but welcome to Aphelios hitting his items. It was that item advantage for a while for the Ezreal, not any longer, and that is good news for CGA as they will look to contest around that Infernal Drake in 30 seconds. Check out those XP levels, and it is the Corki on one side and the Camille on the other with the big XP leads right now.
Yeah, Pyrion's not too far behind, almost breaking into level 12 territory, but Appamen, I think, is getting to this place where soon no one's going to be able to stop him in a 1v1, which is exactly what Sengoku were planning on. They want to just have Appamen on the side lane pushing in. Infernal Drake is up now. There's a lot of options here, and the side of Sengoku are all grouped as well as the side of CGA. They're just trying to figure out which avenue. How do they want to let this fight go in? CGA currently have an opening.
They're thinking about it. They got vision control, but CGA have kind of muscled their way in with a couple wards here. And it'll just be back to the mid lane for now. The positioning, the posturing will continue. Pyrion is going to be spotted, but that's a good Winds of War because there is a ward in that bush still, and Nap was standing right on top of it. The posturing continues. It is Pyrion and Blank still in the river. CGA backing away a little now. Going to see what they plan on doing. The mid wave is next priority. A hook onto Pyrion doesn't lead to anything. Still hunting, still waiting to see who starts off this Infernal Drake because it is such a point of pressure. Sengoku desperately don't want to give this up, but CGA still on a fairly strong point here as well. They're going to start forwards. Blank and Sengoku Gaming have started it up. Nap around and about. That was a spellbook Ignite down to trade out the summoner for Pyrion. He's now got an Exhaust. Watch out for Gango as well. He has Crescendum Severum. If he can stay close and throw damage, he can do a lot. Call the Forge Code coming out. Infernal Drake now at half HP. Blank looking for a steal. Goes in and gets it! That is massive. He trades his life for it. But now, in comes the rest of the fight. The heroic entrance is big. The knockup is there. The health bars of CGA are low and are being shredded by a True Shot Barrage, but no deaths come in. And now Gango flying forward with the onslaught, with the Crescendum, and the Chakrams bring down the Ezreal. It's Appamen and Ayumi left to try and turn this around, and they have nowhere to go. Is the hook shot going to be enough? It looks like it is. Grendel didn't want to walk around that corner and find his way onto a very fed Camille. So that'll be a 3 for none, but the Infernal Drake was stolen by Sengoku Gaming. It's a win for CGA, but it's not a game breaker.
It's not a game breaker. That went kind of in favor of CGA. Not flawlessly, but if they got the Drake, it would have been perfectly ideal. The double knock up here on that called their Smite. Oh, wow, that was clinch. Blank did have to pay for his life, and now you just get to see 4v5 just adult-rated attack damage coming through. I mean, Yutori landed a 5-man beautiful ult, but then just isn't able to follow up. Was already at half health, or even lower due to the Ornn, and it kind of fell apart from there. Yutori has now actually ticked into his extra items, but doesn't really affect too much. It's Appamen didn't really have a great option into a lot of spots of that. Blank died at the very beginning of that, and CGA, according to the AI, have the favorites. Or are the favorites.
Over to 20 minutes. Gango is 4-2-2. Yutori is 0-3-0, and Sengoku Gaming, when their AD carry fall behind, generally looks significantly less threatening. They don't have the same level of damage. He is so much of their power in these team fights. The Camille has got options in the split push, and now without the soul being threatened, maybe that buys time for Appamen to put pressure on other parts of the map. But with Gango rotating around with this Graves from Unica, towers don't last long against CGA's team members either.
No, a big point of that importance in that last dragon fight is that CGA had priority at all times over Sengoku. And the main reason for that was due to Sengoku not having already taken this mid turret. Now it looks like they're about to take it, and then priority is now going to become far more equal when they fight around this dragon. Problem is, they didn't do that for that first Infernal Dragon. That's why the fight was a lot more messier from Sengoku. They couldn't aggressively push the mid lane. They kind of had to push it in just to the mid turret, which is totally fine for CGA because they're like, well, that's just right next to where we're at. We can quickly reset around and continue the fight as if nothing happened. Yutori Muashi still hasn't got a kill, and CGA are starting this Baron.
They want to draw the teleport out of Appman, who is alone in the bot side. There's not a lot of tankiness on CGA right now as Nap goes to get himself some HP. That's double Sentinel turret, though, which is a nightmare to walk through for now. Nap just standing off the side, waiting for the call of the Forge God. Here comes the teleport. They got what they came for, and they're going to back away to CGA.
It's going to be interesting because I wonder if in response Sengoku should aggressively just try and go on this Baron. It's a lot of options going. They didn't have vision, so that was just very heads up from all members of CGA to go there.
Here comes the call of the Forge Guard. They're not done. They're trying to find a pick. Apperman in trouble under the heroic entrance. It's a stopwatch from Gango to save his life. But here comes the turnaround. That Felios is taken super low, but not before the Moonlight Vigil comes out. It's a 1 for none right now, but the health bars are low on both sides. Yumi is turning things around. Grendel has managed to body block a little bit, but Blank picks up a return kill. It is 2 for none at the end of it all. And now Sengoku Gaming can turn their own eyes to Baron.
They had to Arya always aware, always looking around. I wonder if he's got F keys like Faker, because he rarely dies to small mistakes like that. Unica's trying to find a way in, but the teleport from Pyrian here, full health, it's going to make it hard. It's 4 members. It's 4 members, 5 members, 5 members. Yeah, that Yumi's always hard to see sometimes versus 3.
Definitely is. We're going to see the health bar desperately low. Can Unica find his way? He's going to have to go now. Is he going to make it? No. Camille manages to pick it up, and it's a kill onto the Graves. He was just late into the pit afterwards. Now Nat trying to run away, desperately trying to, but it is a 5 versus 2. And Ornn, tanky as he may be, is nothing before the onslaught of Galio and the squad of Sengoku Gaming.
Camille, Galio with a Yumi on top. You just get 2 members out of nowhere. This is just beautiful, and this is a wombo combo if anything, if we've seen it before. Nap and the members of CJ look to be good, but Apperman says differently, and then immediately Pyrian plus NT just get to come in on the backline, just bind them down. Yuta and Grendel just can't do anything as Nap and Arya just are left to their own devices, have to run away, and now the whole team of Sengoku get to collapse as they get to reset, go back around, and with Yumi with those zoomies, heals them up to full health. Yutorimashi now got 2 assists, NT 5 assists, and Blank still Mr. 100. Can he do it back-to-back games on a win or a loss? They also pick up that Infernal Drake. 2 of them taken away now from CGA. That's not ideal.
It's really not, and there's something to be said for as well that gold lead that CGA had, it's gone. It's now inverted.
Oh, yeah.
Gaming you up 2,500 gold. They've got a Baron push to go for. This is difficult, and we can see
look at
the
that gold.
Oscillation.
It's a roller coaster.
That is insane. Man alive. Well, maybe we'll get another dip, or maybe this will be the ascent to heaven for Sengoku Gaming. CGA are scaling, have got 2 ridiculously heavy carries in a Corki and an Aphelios. The Aphelios has got summoners again as well. That's good news. But with the Baron push, maybe Sengoku Gaming can break this game far enough open that CGA don't have a chance to get back in. It's going to be close, and it's not over yet.
Yeah, and this is Yutori Muashi, Baroned up, blue buff, red buff. The resets are coming through. So much damage just across. They get to just play the poke game. They're not even a poke comp. They're just getting to play the poke game because of Piri and Yutori Muashi. They've got a blind. They got Lee Sin. They're not poke. And they got Apperman just pushing in the top lane. It's 4 pushing the mid lane. It's 1 in the top lane. And no one can deal with Apperman on a Baron buff. He's level 15. Nap is 13. Arya's 14. Apperman is so far ahead of where he should be in this game.
And those early turret plates, there's now this kill involvement has got this Camille into a terrifyingly strong point. They've left her alone. She's going to have taken the turret. It's just about dead. The cannon does get it, but here comes Arya looking to punish.
Oh, no, you don't want that.
Here's what it does, but here comes the Galio heroic entrance. Arya goes golden. Apperman is actually very, very damn low. But all the while, Sengoku Gaming escape and pick up another turret. And the inhibitor in mid, they are tearing CGA apart.
This is so well played. We asked them, well, actually, rather, Nightmare asked us when we started covering this region, we want to see some split pushing. We want to see 4-1. We want to see 3-1-1. What do we just see? We saw the whole team of Sengoku completely hard push, allow Apperman to take that top turret, and then immediately Pyrian backed him up. We then saw 3 members of Sengoku aggressively push that mid lane, and we're seeing split pushing come through. The Baron play was over 4.4k initialized. What more can I say?
And I can't even blame CGA for trying to force on the one. That's something
absolutely.
to break that massive level of pressure down. It didn't work out. Camille escaped on a sliver of HP. The heroic entrance was enough.
It was really like 10 HP.
Get mid lane inhibitor. It's a difficult position for CGA, but we have asked this question before. When they can't fight their way out of trouble, they seem to run out of options, and those options are starting to look a little slim when the fights are going all wrong.
I do wonder if maybe Pyrion thought he was going with NT on him into that hero's entrance, because Appamen definitely wanted a Yuumi there to give a shield and some zoomies, but was able to escape, and it was a flawlessly executed plan, even if it was a bit closer for Appamen's KDA would have liked it, as this is a man that's actually had a very strong KDA across the first 5 games he's currently participated in the summer split. So
yeah, true.
Looking,
like, we've known him.
Oh yeah, we know him.
To be an ISO death guy. This is the guy who pushes ridiculously hard on the sideline and gets punished for it.
Oh,
The last few games and weeks have generally been pretty clean from Appaman, and while he's not got the highest kill participation, what he has been doing in the sideline has brought him significant advantages, and he's playing the split push role really well. Sengoku Gaming pick up the last remaining outer turret, and now with one inhibitor down, another inhibitor exposed, and only one bot tower in the remaining and the bot side here, this is looking a little bit dicey for CGA. They've still got their Nexus turrets, but that's about it feels like.
It really is. They've got this. This is their only turret that is actually preventing an inhibitor. This is not an ideal spot. This is almost this is over a 5k gold lead for Sengoku. They've had a Baron. Yutori Mashi is getting caught out here.
Yeah. Gets knocked up, they're diving in, that's a flash hook, that's big deal. Appaman is not there, he's going for the inhibitor, that means it's a 4 versus 5. Utorimashi is dead, but what can CGA get at the end of this? Because Appaman gets an inhibitor in trade. Now CGA are trying to back away, but Utorimashi's life for another inhibitor. Sengoku Gaming definitely feel they came out okay out of that trade.
100% Sengoku are loving this. Think about it, 13 seconds now on that Baron, 17 seconds on that Infernal Drake. The whole members of CGA have just had their top lane fully pushed in. Mid lane will auto push itself for at least the next 2 more minutes, and if Sengoku want to just survive this game out, they totally can, as they're coming in from behind. Utorimashi is going to be up in 15 seconds. That ultimate's going to be up, and Pyrion and crew are looking to collapse on CGA.
They're going to have to be damn quick, because it's still a 4 versus 5. This is CGA's course. What they're going to do, Pyrion is taken
oh my God!
very low and gets shut down on the back of it. Calibrum does its work, and now the Baron is super low. CGA looking to push in, looking to get this Baron. They don't die to the True Shot Barrage. They do claim the Baron. Now Grendel has to try and find his way out, does fall, but CGA claim the Baron. It will buy them time, but now it is still a 4 versus 4 with their base in shambles. How much can they get out of this Baron? Blank's still chasing. He's got a Yuumi on top of him. Maybe he can pick something up at the end here, but it'll be a pretty close one. There is the Sonic Wave that does just about get sidestepped by Arya. Baron is off the board. CGA will be able to hopefully hold on for a little while with now 3 items and a Molten Edge in for this Aphelios. 3 items onto this Corki. If they can stall, CGA are at late game.
Do you know what it cost them? It cost them their jungle, and it cost them the Infernal Drake. I think this Baron is purely just to take it away from Sengoku. It's not going to get them much of anything. If anything, it's negative, and I'll tell you why it's a negative effect. Those minions will push heavily against them, and what they need is they want all the minions to actually come into their base. They need to try and get as much gold as possible put onto Arya and Gango, and now the reverse will happen. The Baroned up minions will, one, be harder to kill, which will aggressively push against these other minions and will keep them further away, which means safety will not be safe as they are expecting for the next 1 minute 40. While they've got some kill potential, it's only really kind of mirroring up to what 3 Infernal Drakes. That's up to 12% extra adaptive damage coming through. That's huge.
Okay. Package is burned by Arya for not a lot of gain there. Blank stepping forwards. Nap is off vision around the corner. He's got Call of the Forge God available. The minion waves are pushed far enough away that Appaman is still with the team. He doesn't want to split push, but now the minions will be starting to push in, particularly in that top side. Mid lane inhibitor is respawned, but watch for where Appaman ends up. If he can find alone time, those towers will disappear under the weight of precision protocol from Camille.
It really will. Camille and Apperman have been playing so well around this. Pyrion will always jump onto Apperman, it seems like now. It once was Blank, but now it's the Apperman himself, the man who will find everything. The team do need to be aware that they probably need to get at least one of these inhibitors down, either the mid one or the top one, before Baron/Dragon will be coming up. Dragon will be probably up within about 3.5 minutes if I've got my own personal timers right off my head, which means this mid inhibitor ideally needs to go down so that Sengoku have priority and awareness around it. Just look at how much presence on the minimap they have. All of Sengoku controls it. There are almost no wards out there for Crest Gaming Act outside of a few.
Yeah, it has bought this Baron buff time for CJ. Time for a Guardian Angel to come in for Gango. Time for a second BF sword to come in for Arya. This is something. If they can find a team fight, they could still win this game, can CJ. But Sengoku Gaming are still desperate to tear this map apart. They have got this Camille who will eviscerate any tower she comes in contact with. We've been over that before. And they've got not a lot of map available, but here comes Nat with the Call of the Forge God. That's a big up! Oh my days, the Infernum is there as well. And Sengoku Gaming's health bars are all but gone. The GAs are popped. Gango kills the Galio. And now the Apperman is dead as well. And Nap, what a monstrous play. His Wukong was godlike. His Ornn here, the Call of the Forge God could just have won CGA the game.
I don't think he'll win them the game, but it will win them time. It will save them for the moment. The only big problem, though, for CJ is they found this amazing pick potential, but nothing's up. They're not going to get anything for it. They can maybe get a bot turret or two. They can maybe force a mid turret, but these are turrets that arguably aren't going to be huge factors in the grand scale of things. It might upgrade some of their stuff, but they're not going to be able to take away the Baron. They're not going to be able to take the Infernal Drake. And all the members of Sengoku are going to be up and raring to go. It's still all to play for. Granted, the big thing that I'm interested in is Arya decided to use his teleportation to go into this bot lane. It won't be up for the next fight, meaning he's going to have to stay with the members. But just, this is just wombo combo. The Gravita, oh my god, the flamethrower comes through, so much damage. And I just don't think Sengoku expected that much damage to come through.
We said that if CGA could wait till late game, they would have the damage. The Ornn engage into a Corki and a 4-item Aphelios was insane. And when I said, has CGA won the game, kind of what I'm talking about is just that damage graph right there. Can Sengoku Gaming win a fight anymore, Mass1?
100%. 100%. That was the perfect scenario for CGA. And honestly, I still think Apperman and crew have still far more of a better team fight presence. CGA basically got the best possible ultimate for Aphelios. That was a 5-man ultimate. That is possibly the best ultimate that they could have hoped for, with max damage on the perfect... it was on the flamethrower, so again, perfect gun. If it's not the perfect gun, if it's not so much, the AI still is giving it to Sengoku, and I have to agree with them. Triple Infernal is huge, and Arya doesn't have that teleportation, which means now, in the next 10 seconds, he has to stick to the team like glue, because Nap is the only one that can teleport in anywhere.
Here comes the Call of the Forge God again. They're all grouped up. How big is this one going to be? It's not bad. It interrupts Pyrion trying to run away.
So good!
Lost half its health, but Apperman gets in the back. It's a shutdown onto the Corki. What is Aphelios doing? Gango slays Blank, and it's a 1-for-1 now. Gango stepping forward. The shield is there. The GA is down, but Unica runs down the Ezreal. Apperman is going in. Can he get something? He gets a shutdown onto Gango. That's big news, but now the Camille needs to get out. Can she even escape? No. Ornn claims that life, and now Enti trying to get back, but the Blast Plant denies him. It is a full ace, and with minions streaming into the base here, CGA have got 40 seconds to start destroying Sengoku's base.
I think there's a chance that they can actually do this. I'm genuinely in shock. I need to rewatch that replay to fully know if I think how much Sengoku did that. They got collapsed upon, but it looked like they kind of reset it pretty quickly. I was expecting them to be able to get far more. It looks like the members of CGA are going to reset around and get this dragon to prevent Sengoku from quickly coming up. Pyrion and Apperman both have their teleportations. They haven't got any deep wards, but they've got some minions there. They would definitely be able to get over to this in time if they were left to their own devices. In 3, 2, and 1. Looks like they're going to be taking this Infernal Drake safe and sound. Jeez, that was so many things. And Nap, honestly, phenomenal ults coming from him. Look at this. The Observer already knows. The Observer already knows. Comes through. 1, 2, onto that. Gets those procs going. Apperman, really nice pill there. And then gets the Cage ultimate. But Blank just gets deleted in 2 seconds. And this is really showing that Lee Sin has fallen off. Blank has fallen off. He's not finding the picks he needs to. And Gango is just outputting so much damage in so many spots. What is unfortunate is NT is just kind of left alone. I think if he was on top of Apperman, potentially that exhaust might have been able to save him, especially with zoomies and everything else. They might have been able to turn it with the 2 of them, but left onto a 1-on-1 or 1-on-2 kind of scenario, it's not going to be great for the Yuumi.
No, it's not. And I was a bit worried there for CGA. Arya died early on into that fight, but at the end of it, Gango was doing enough work, and CGA actually just going to stream into the base. Like, yeah, you want to come and go for Baron? Well, we'll just take your base instead. Pull Sengoku Gaming away without having to burn.
Oh, is this Sengoku? Is this CGA versus Burning Core again?
Oh, no, that ending was a mess already, man. I'm not sure I can take that all over again. Ahmed's going to try and force me into it, though. There's no GAs available across the board. That could be dangerous to Gango, who is also critically down a flash. It's already down to half HP, though, this Baron. CJ will claim it before Blank and the rest Sengoku Gaming can fight it. Now they're into the backline, but Nap is there, and that's not who you want to find. Here comes the call of the Forge God, but Gango is in trouble, has burned the heal. Apperman cannot find the kill. He's still alive, but
oh my god!
Huge shutdown onto Ezreal, but it's 2 in return. Can Sengoku Gaming turn this around? They've got all the damage. They need Arya off to the back. He's trying, but Blank's on top of him now. He's got the damage, he's got the kill, but now he's got to try and find his way out. Apperman is doing so much work, and there's no damage left for CGA. There's not a lab. And Nap now trying to run away from the Yuumi and the Lee Sin, and Grendel will finally fall to this Camille. The Baron's secured for CGA, but they lose everybody in return.
Oh my god, these fights are such a mess, and oh my god, NT, you basically saved that whole fight. Oh my god, Yuumi, your nerves are going to be deserved, because in all fairness, that was dirty, that was destructive, and NT, you deserve MVP for a split second for that moment. That was phenomenal. Alright, so how does this team fight really progress? Alright, so Apperman comes down, lands the cage onto Gango, and aggressively tries to delete him. In response, Apperman goes, no, call the Forge God, screw you. Blank comes in, and Pyrian, huge knock up there. They're able to get 1-2. Important note, final chapter was kind of wasted in that fight there. But what's important to note is Arya has basically output all their damage. Blank is able to destroy him here, and then somehow he's able to survive because they don't do any damage, and then Zoomies, well, we saw how the rest of that went. Yuumi is just, well, if anything, NT has now hit the point in the game where, which is better? Which is more important? What NT offers or what Nap offers? The Call of the Forge God or Zoomies? And this is the question now we're going to be finding.
Well, as I'd said before the fight broke out around that sort of mid lane, there was no GAs up for Sengoku Gaming, but they ticked over just in time for the Baron fight. They are now down again for the Camille and the Lee Sin, but they won them the fight in that last attempt. It hasn't even earned them any inhibitors, though. Nap did a good enough job buying time in the mid lane that they couldn't get inhibitors. So CGA still in a pretty good position here. Yeah. 74% now chance to win it because the inhibitors weren't taken. Apperman is having to recall because he can't afford to let CGA push in unimpeded in this bot side.
We're probably getting a fight within the next minute because this Infernal Drake is, going to be the most contested thing. And arguably, the fight in the next minute might just decide how this game goes. It was a minus Baron play as all their members were aced, so that's how those things go. But it is important to note that Gango has actually now got that Death Stance. It was a very late Death Stance, but decided to go for it towards the very end of his build, which is pretty cool.
switched out that last Whisper, decided there wasn't going to be enough damage from that. Here comes the Call of the Forge God. It's a knock upon Utromash. You has to flash.
Great box.
He does survive. Here comes Appman. Here comes the heroic entrance. This is the combo.
That's
this
it!
could be the game. Arya's got deleted. Now can Gango survive? He's trying.
Oh my god,
Knock-up. Nap and Gango are running over this team fight. And behold, 200 years of fire, fury, and a triple kill for the Aphelios.
Oh my god, Aphelios is a very tuned champion and should totally stay like this. It's amazing. I love it. What did we just witness? CGA be damned. They disnight us. They deny us, and Arya and his brethren take it away. Unica, congratulations. You're performing up to expectations. What a game initialized. What did we just witness?
We witnessed an Aphelios hit late game. We've witnessed Call of the Forge Gods that felt pretty godlike. Let's be real. There just wasn't enough damage despite fantastic engages from a Camille, from a Galio. But let's stop talking about it. We've got to wait a couple minutes while we gather our thoughts. We'll talk to you again after we've had a chance to go over it for the analyst desk.
How do I follow that? How do we follow that?
Oh,
We just saw one of the most insane games I can remember in LJL history.
so we're
Back and forth,
So
team
we-
fights.
So we're just going back to CGA versus Burning Core 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah. No, but we just saw CGA clutch victory out from the jaws of defeat. The literal jaws of defeat, those iron legs snapping together on Camille were not enough to take the game for Appamen and crew. Instead, let's talk about Nap again. Let's talk about this guy on the Ornn. Let's talk about how somehow he comes out with these ultimates straight out of the top drawer and blows away these team fights. Who wants to take this?
Go for it.
Oh,
Sam's taking it.
Go for it. Go for it.
So just because the scene is, it was dire. They were CGA were down 2 inhibitors. They had lost a number of team fights. They were down gold. They'd lost the Baron. It was all going wrong. Then they stall. Then Nap finds a 5-man Call of the Forge Guard into a knockup, into an Inferno that eviscerates the team fight for CGA. And he did that 3 ults in a row. 3 ults in a row. That is absurd stuff from the top laner of CGA.
Lexi, carry on.
I mean,
what do you think of that?
I just... The thing is, in all fairness, Apperman played phenomenally throughout that whole game. Was 3-0-3 in that top lane as well. Was practically finding spots into Camille that I didn't think you could actually get on. With that Yumi with NT and with Pyrian jumping in with the hero's entrance, I honestly thought it was locked up for them. But Cog said, no, not Cog, but Nap said differently. And, well... throw the notes out, the script went over. They deleted the script for us and said, we got a new idea.
Funnily enough, the note I've got is the one I wrote for pre-game. And you know what the first thing I wrote down on that? The first thing I asked was, will Sengoku be pulled into the madness? Ladies and gents, we've all been pulled into it. I was screaming like a banshee through in the other room. I had no idea what was going on, and I loved every fucking second of it. Oh so my word. That's the one F-bomb I'll drop on cast today. It's my birthday, I get one.
Yeah, you do.
I do want to go back to Sengoku a little bit. Obviously, CGA came away with a win. I liked what they were trying to do with the composition, though. We talked about CGA in terms of, CGA, what happens if they can't win a team fight? What happens if they can't deal with this death ball? Do they have to split up the map? Oh, they don't really deal well with split maps. The Camille Galio combo allows you a team fight with that dedicated engage onto the ADC, but it also allows you to split push. How do you guys feel Sengoku played around this composition? Was it a fault of them that they ended up losing, or was it just the insanity of CGA's team fights?
I give it to our resident expert on this kind of thing.
Okay. I think what it is we saw the difference in priority early on in the game where it was Gango who got a lot of attention for CGA and a little bit of around mid as well where Arya managed to pick an early kill, which is great. Your AD carries got fed. The amount of plates that Camille got early put her in an absolutely untouchable position. We saw the gold oscillate back and forth, but it hit a point where Camille could not be touched in the side lane. That was terrifying. The thing that stalled it out for long enough, though, was Yutori Mayashi getting caught in the reset, having taken the mid inhibitor.
Yeah.
And that meant that CJ got to pick up a Baron and stall out for long enough that they had so many items on the teamfight monstrosities of a Corki, an Ornn, and an Aphelios. That was what was required, but it was that clutch moment of picking up the Baron, I think, that bought them enough time.
Yeah, and going back over to that, talking about the teamfight monsters and stuff, we would normally assume Arya to be the one carrying CGA, and he didn't have a silent game on the Corki, but more often than not, he was the guy dying in the teamfights, and the guy that was living, the guy that did the DPS, was Gango. And as much as Nap was our MVP in so many different ways, what did you make of Gango on this Aphelios, considering he was 1-3 coming into this game on that champion?
Well, this is his best performance flat out. I mean, maybe his best performance in 2020, honestly. It's his play on this champion was phenomenal. He's never been quiet as a bot lane carry. Normally he has at least 1 or 2 games.
Goes hyper aggressive and
and normally finds something. For God's sake, one of his most well-known champions is Draven. Like, the man likes to play aggressively. But this Aphelios game was phenomenal. He was hyper carrying in spots where we just thought it was over. That final team fight where I was like, it's Sengoku's to win. And then apparently Flamethrower says, pew, 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 pew. I want to be Elon Musk with the basic company or whatever it's called. I can't remember.
The boring company.
The boring basic company. It's a more of a flame onto them for it. And by all means, they just destroyed it. And they did it. And well played by him, honestly. Really well played.
And of course, in that last fight, he had that Infernum Severum combo running, having that crazy AoE combo. But it was set up once again by a 3-man knockup from Nap. Just puts the pillar down, sets up, and in what looked like a team fight loss, turned around for the game win. Who else was doing stuff in team fights, though? I think it's time we took a bit of a look at Unica. Jungler for CGA, came across on that Graves. He put out some damage there. He wasn't doing nothing. What did you guys feel about him? I know that the early game wasn't so good for him. What did you make about Unica throughout the entire of the game?
I think he counter-ganked pretty well. Like, actually, they punished bot with a good dive early on. He was around a lot of the objectives. That looked a lot more stable from a jungler who has kind of been put very far behind by other people, especially against a guy like Blank, who came out to a very early lead with a lot of early kills. Credit to Unica for coming in and being a point of pressure for the team.
I mean, in all fairness, he's been super quiet, so for him to finally have a game where he shows up, I mean, this is the best time for him to have that. I mean, he was still very quiet in the early game. Yes, he was around, but didn't farm anywhere near as fast. Blank was commonly ahead of him in farm, as well as also just kill participation and everything. But guess he turned up. He definitely turned up towards that mid and late game, so I can't discredit him that much.
Do we think the days are gone where you can just jungle different CGA?
No. Because it nearly was jungle difference for a little bit with some of the way the map state was going. But Unica is improving, and that's a good sign.
It is.
We'll have to wait and see whether that continues to improve to the point where he's not a weakness at all, rather than sometimes a weakness.
Okay. Going to open the floor to you guys, particularly in this game. There was so much to talk about. Obviously, I didn't have time to write everything down. Is there anything else you particularly want to talk about? I mean, admittedly, it's very hard to look after some things after the fact because so much happened. You forget about even some of the bigger plays.
I mean, think about it. My big one was CGA were able to get the second Baron, and then they got aced off the back of NT playing a Yuumi and just giving the zoomies and the shield to so many different members. And Blank was able to come back into that fight, and they were able to get it. The problem was it wasn't on one of their hyper carries, meaning it took them 3 times as long to actually kill Nap and that as that Ornn, which basically meant they couldn't push one of the inhibitors down, and that was
They didn't get any.
No, they didn't. And that was a problem. Now, if it was one of the hyper carries, they definitely could have probably gotten 1, maybe 2.
I mean, the Camille was alive, just didn't choose to run over to the inhibs. You know, Camille is one of the best tower pushing champions in the game. Either way, the late game went the way of CGA, and I think it's about time we wrap up what we covered today. I think in the first game of the day, it was Sengoku versus Axis. Sengoku, of course, took that win. Then Axis went on to lose to Rascal Jester, sealing Axis as our 8th place team in the LJL after week 3. And Rascal Jester moving up to 1 and 4 after then losing themselves to Crest Gaming Act. And then Crest Gaming Act, as we just saw, sealed a 2-0 week somehow, some way versus Sengoku Gaming, which means that Sengoku went 1-1. What are your thoughts after these 4 games? Of course, we have 4 more games tomorrow to seal our side of the standings. We'll be covering them tomorrow, same time as we have done today. What are your thoughts on the standings after these 4 and games for tomorrow?
All right, so this is an issue with CGA in general. Stop it. You're making my analysis really hard because I have no idea whether you're going to be good or bad on any given day, because there is always the chance that they pop off, but there is also this chance that they just completely can't team fight because they're so far behind and can't play the map. Like, they are an utter nightmare to work out whether they're going to win a game or not.
Can I give a stat?
Go for it.
They have the same amount of wins they had in the regular spring split now. They have already matched that. Now, if they lose out on the next 8 games, they can definitely do it, run it back again. I'm hopeful that that's not going to be the case, though, because we've got competition going at the moment. But I think CGA have solved those problems that they had in spring, because they're already doing far better than they would in spring split.
I think that's
in summer,
aided by the fact that Nap is playing so very well. It takes the pressure off Ardia. Unica performing well in team fights, and Yoshi had some bright moments, but it was just about the consistency. Unica might be somewhere in between those higher and lows, and that's something they can play around. And importantly, in that bot lane, Grendel has turned up to play as well. They have managed to rectify their bottom side of the map course, it wasn't just about them today. Sengoku will be looking away and wondering how that game fell away from them. Now, Naxxis Rascal Jesters, although they have now split apart themselves in the standings, will still look to mount a recovery going later into the split. We will be covering DFM, V3, Burning Core, and remind me of the last team. It will be
the Fukuoka SoftBank
the Hawks. The Hawks. I
Gaming.
knew there was one I was missing in our games tomorrow to round out our coverage of Week 3. Guys, I'm going to give it over to you for your final thoughts on today's stuff.
Our top 2 teams of the league are now tied, and they're not even tied for first. They are down in second or third here, because V3 and CGA have kind of one up them over the last couple weeks. That's kind of a bit concerning.
I want to see who can beat V3. If V3 can be beaten this week, I'm saying that's open. Like, anybody can take it. If V3 have gone 2-0 this week, oh my god, this is some real moves that they are making. And this is going to prove that this might be the most exciting split in LJL history.
The most exciting split in LJL history may be upon us. What a good birthday present that is. I've been Alex Lamera Hapgood, joined by Sam, Initialize Hapgood, and Alex Mast Swan. Swan, we've loved bringing you these games today. Stick around and help us round out our coverage tomorrow. See you then.